Hello and welcome to a brand new explainer right here on the Gap Advisors Ind AS Clinic YouTube channel. I am absolutely thrilled to have you joining us today. We're going straight into the trenches of real-world accounting applications. Basically, we're taking a published financial statement, putting it under the microscope, and diagnosing a presentation error that is honestly far more common and definitely far more risky than you might think. Let's get into it.
Here is our agenda for today's session. We've got 1. Welcome to the clinic. 2. A real-world presentation error. 3. The Ind AS disclosure rules. 4. The missing cross-reference. 5. The risk of obscured information. And 6. Your Ind AS compliance toolkit.
Section 1. Welcome to the clinic. Setting the ground rules.
Before we open up today's patient file and dig into the numbers, just a quick disclaimer. Please keep in mind that the views expressed in this explainer are entirely the personal views of the author, and they aren't binding on the audience in any way. We always highly encourage you to seek the help of a qualified expert before taking or refraining from any specific action based on what we discussed today.
Okay, and to make sure we're all completely on the same page, here are our foundational parameters. The functional and presentation currency is the Indian rupee. Any currency that is not the Indian rupee is considered a foreign currency. And our reporting period, that's going to be from the 1st of April to the 31st of March.
Section 2. A real-world presentation error, the patient file.
All right, let's take a look at the actual observation. This is from the published Ind AS financial statements of a listed company, which was downloaded and independently reviewed by GAAP advisors on a suo motu basis. As you can see, this is exactly what the company presented in the equity share capital section of their statement of changes in equity. You've got the number of equity shares, the opening balance, changes during the year, and the closing balance. On the surface, it looks pretty standard and tidy, right?
But I want you to look a little deeper. When you scan those rows and columns, ask yourself, does this really paint the complete picture required by the standards? What absolutely crucial information is visibly missing from this presentation?
Section 3. The Ind AS disclosure rules. Diagnosing the standard.
To figure out exactly what went wrong, we need to pull up the rulebook, specifically Ind AS 1, which governs the presentation of financial statements. If we look at paragraph 79, it explicitly states that an entity shall disclose a specific set of details either in the balance sheet or in the statement of changes in equity or in the notes. So you have 3 location options, but making the disclosure, that's mandatory.
And what exactly are those specific details? Well, they include the number of shares authorized, the number of shares issued and fully paid, the par value per share, rights, preferences, restrictions, and so on. Now think back to that patient file we just looked at. The company totally failed to disclose any of these critical details on the face of the balance sheet or in the statement of changes in equity.
Section 4. The missing cross-reference, a critical omission.
So because the company didn't put the required information right on the primary statements, they were absolutely obligated to put it in the notes. And that brings us to their major misstep. Paragraph 113 of Ind AS 01 mandates that an entity shall cross-reference each item in the statements of changes in equity to any related information in the notes. And by the way, Clause 4.2i of Division 2 of Schedule 3 to the Companies Act echoes this exact same requirement. You literally cannot just leave the user guessing where to find the details.
This comparison really hits the nail on the head. On the left side, we see the company's approach, no note references whatsoever. On the right side, you see the properly cross-reference compliant approach. Because the company completely failed to cross-reference the note containing those vital paragraph 79 details directly from their statement of changes in equity, they fell completely out of compliance with both Ind AS 1 and Schedule 3.
Section 5. The risk of obscured information, the prognosis.
Now you might be sitting there thinking, okay, a missing cross-reference, isn't that just a minor typo or formatting glitch? Well, actually, no. The severity of this is clearly laid out in paragraph 7 of Ind AS 1, which defines obscuring information. The standard tells us that if you communicate information in a way that reduces understandability, like hiding it or scattering it around, it is legally and practically the same thing as omitting or misstating that information entirely. It directly harms the primary user's ability to make informed decisions.
The standard even provides specific examples. Notice that second point. Information regarding a material item is scattered throughout the financial statements. By failing to cross-reference the detailed note back to the statement of changes in equity, this company essentially scattered material information. So officially, the company presented obscured information. It is a major compliance failure, all stemming from one missing reference number. Section 6. Your Ind AS Compliance Toolkit, the prescription.
To make sure your own finance and audit teams never fall into these obscuring errors, let's talk about the incredible resources GAAP Advisors offers. First up is the issue repository on gapadvisors.com. This platform hosts over 4,500 issues and their responses on Indian accounting standards and Indian GP. Any person can register for free and submit issues on Ind AS and Indian GP, and you'll get a detailed response delivered directly to the inbox of the email you registered with. This is an absolutely massive resource, particularly useful for auditors who need to rigorously document how they addressed any issue relating to the application of Ind AS.
Also, fun fact, the specific observation we dissected today was actually featured in the 233rd edition of the GAAP Advisors Task Weekly newsletter. This newsletter is authored by C.A. Manish C. Iyer, director at GAAP Advisors, and it's published right on LinkedIn. To date, over 230 editions have been published. If you are registered on LinkedIn, you should absolutely subscribe to the newsletter for free.
But here is the most proactive step you can possibly take. Don't wait for a suo motu review to uncover your presentation errors. Get your financial statements reviewed by GAAP Advisors before signing them. It's super easy. Your financial statements can be submitted in a near-to-publishing PDF format simply by emailing them to info@gapadvisors.com for a comprehensive, independent review.
And if you're looking to really get into the weeds and want a deep dive into the technical nuances of the observation we dealt with in this explainer today, make sure to connect to the GAAP Advisors Ind AS Clinic podcast. You can find it on Spotify, Amazon, or YouTube.
Well, that brings us to the end. Thank you so much for your time today. If you found this explainer valuable, please hit the like button and add your comments below. Make sure to subscribe to the GAAP Advisors Ind AS Clinic channel if you haven't already. And please do share this explainer among your contacts, colleagues, and your audit and finance teams. Let's work together to spread the knowledge of Indian accounting standards. I'm going to leave you with this final thought. When you get back to your desk, open up your latest drafts, double-check your cross-references today, and ask yourself, is your statement of changes in equity telling the whole story or simply obscuring it? Keep learning, stay compliant, and we'll see you next time.